Welcome back after the break, guys, and let's continue at some basic map work concepts. Now, first of all, the first thing I want to discuss with you is direction. Now, the first time you were introduced to direction was in grade 9. Now, to determine direction, we use our 16 cardinal points: north, east, south, and west. Now, very importantly, between them we got our 16 cardinal points: north, northeast, northeast, east, northeast, east, southeast, southeast, south, southeast, south, southwest, southwest, west, southwest, west, northwest, and northwest. Now, very importantly over here, grade 12s, north will always be on top of your map. So if you look at this map over here, north will be situated right on the top of the map. East will be on the right hand side, south on the bottom of the map, and the west on the left hand side of the map. And regarding that, any map, north will always be on top of the map. If we continue with our notes, there's a couple of symbols that we look at, and it represents information on the maps. For instance, the mine dumps. Aerodrome is usually where it's a small airport. A rifle range is where people practice shooting. Now, very importantly, questions may be asked, why is the rifle range situated over there? Because the contour lines are quite far from each other, so it's a flat area where they can practice shooting. The same with the aerodrome over there. The contour lines are going to be far from one another because it shows a flat gradient, a gentle slope, so that it can make it much easier for the aeroplanes to land. If we continue to our next slide over there, now very importantly, as you can remember when I showed you on the map, pole on your top left hand side corner, that's the name of the map, topographical map that you are going to use. Now keep in mind, it can be any map. It can be a map of Newcastle, a map of Johannesburg. It depends on what type of map is going to be asked during the exam. The 33 represents latitude, the 18 represents longitude, and the 1 to 50,000 represents the scale of the map. And that's on your right hand side corner of the map. It means the map has been reduced 50,000 times. Now, what we have here is an insert of a map. Now, we've just looked at direction. Now, obviously, when we discuss direction, it doesn't matter which map we use, and it doesn't matter if we use an insert of a map, north will always be on top of your map. So east will be situated over there, south on the bottom of your map, and west situated over there. Now, very importantly, when they're asked to determine the direction from one point to another point, there's a couple of steps that I want you to use. And it's 2 steps because it can get confusing or you might get it wrong, especially with your 16 cardinal points. Your first step that I would like you to use is the following. Draw a north-south line. Secondly, your second step, draw a line from where and to. And I'm quickly going to give you an example on this topographical map. If I ask you to determine the direction from Trick Beacon 430 to Trick Beacon 239. Now, like I've mentioned, your first step, draw a north-south line. Draw a north-south line. Draw a line from where to. Now it's much easier to determine your direction. There's north. There's south. Now if you look at the direction over there, if you divide that up over there, there's east and there's west. Now what do you think is the direction from Trick Beacon 430 to Trick Beacon 239? That will be definitely west, south, west. Let's just do another one quickly. If we quickly have a look at determine direction from Trick Beacon 227 to Trick Beacon 245. First of all, draw your north-south line. Draw a line from where to. There's your north line, south. If you divide it up, there's east, there's west. So that's probably going to be west, south, west. And that's how easy it is to determine direction on a topographical map. Just keep in mind, remember your steps. That's the first thing that you need to be able to remember. Now when we look at this map over here, before I want to continue, I just want to add a couple of detail to it and just remove this line quickly. And we remove that line. Please pay attention, this is an insert from the pole map to identify certain places. As you can see on the pole map, there's quite many commercial farms taking place over here. And how do I know it's commercial farms? Because you use your references on the bottom of your map that's been shown over here. If you quickly have a look at it, there you can see orchards and vineyards, and it's quite big areas covered by orchards and vineyards, so we know it's commercial farms taking place over there. Now another indication that we can have a look at, if we look at the map of Pole, this is the town area, what we've learned in settlement. Look at the gridiron pattern over there in the town. As you can see, if you look at the keys being used, the references being used, there's a K, that means a church. The S represents schools. As you can see, there's a college that represents tertiary education, and there's a hospital situated over there. So a lot of information that you can gather from the pole map, and if you want to know what the keys are being used, you can just follow your references on the bottom of the map. Now as you can see, usually land are being shown in a brown color, agriculture and plantations are usually in a green color. If you can see the row of trees, for instance, recreation areas like parks and green belts. Water is usually represented in a blue color. Now, as you can see, non-perennial water, it's a dotted blue line. It means it's only flowing seasonally. Perennial water, permanent rivers, are a solid blue line. It flows all year long. Now, if you quickly look on the other reference, as you can see, much of the information on there you can just draw immediately from the reference, like your national route, etc. If we go back to the mine dumps, for instance, over there, it's also indicated on your references to be able to identify the type of activity taking place, and I'll quickly show you over there. If you look on this reference over there, the mine dumps, just circle with lines. drawn on the outside, excavations, as you can see, situated with a picture like this. Now keep in mind, another indication to show if a place only receives seasonal rainfall, you can go and have a look at the wind pumps, amount of wind pumps. Wind pumps are being used especially in dry areas to gain access to groundwater. And as you can see, if you look at urban areas, will consist of definitely a post office, police stations, and a lot of shops. And as you can see, a place of worship is being shown with a K that represents kerk in Afrikaans, schools, and hotels. Now these references, if we go back to our map, is all situated on the bottom of your map. So when they refer to information, you can just use your references and it will give you a better understanding of what's being asked in the question. If we go back to our notes, that's the references just in the note itself. Now very importantly, if we go back to this section over there, once again keep in mind north is on top of this section over there. Now remember to go and calculate or to determine your direction. Let's say for instance from the church over there to Spotlight 1649, draw a north-south line, draw a line from where into, there's your north-south line, there's east and there's west, and that direction determined looks like northwest. But let's continue with some of the calculations that we need to deal with on a topographical map. First of all, before we're going to continue with the calculations, this is your orthophoto. If you look at it, the scale is 1 to 10,000, very important. Your contour interval is 5 meters. If we quickly have a look at your orthophoto, situated over there, there's the scale on the top of the map, 1 to 10,000. Once again, as you can see over there, 33 degrees 42 minutes represents the lines of latitude, 18 degrees 57 minutes represents longitude, and as you can see, the contour lines on the orthophoto is different from a normal vertical aerial photograph because it presents you with extra information such as contour lines that represents height and names of places, as you can see over there. So it consists of a little bit more detail, and on the bottom of the map you can see the contour interval is 5 meters. If you look at our next topic that we're going to discuss is scale and distance. Because our topographical map has got a scale, and because our orthophoto maps consist of a scale, now the topographical map consists of a scale of 1 to 50,000, and our orthophoto consists of a scale of 1 to 10,000. Because of the scale, we can actually go and calculate distance on a topographical map as well as an orthophoto map. Now, when we're doing this calculations in South Africa to measure distance, we use kilometers and meters. We use a formula to be able to calculate the answer in kilometers and to calculate the answer in meters. But keep in mind they are going to be different depending on which map we are going to use. Now, very importantly, like I've mentioned to you before, the orthophoto scale is 1 to 10,000. The topographical map scale is 1 to 50,000. So in reality, the orthophoto is 5 times bigger than the topographical map, because the orthophoto has only been reduced 10,000 times, whereas the topographical map has been reduced 50,000 times. Now, very importantly, always take note of the calculation if it's going to be on the topographic map and orthophoto. Now, I've seen it time and time again. The biggest mistake that learners make in this question paper is that they don't read the question properly. Make sure if you need to do the calculation on an orthophoto map, or make sure when you do the calculation on a topographical map, because we use different sets of formulas. Now, as I've mentioned, the orthophoto scale is larger and provides more detail. And when we look at these formulas, we look at this conversion table over here for the topographical map and orthophoto map. Stay tuned after the break. We're going to look into detail to this type of formulas that we use to calculate distance on a topographical map and an orthophoto map.